It is 6 o'clock, and I call this special meeting of the Commerce City Council to order. Uh, Discussion and possible action on an amendment to the agreement with Frieza Nichols regarding the FY21 Street Improvements Project, Washington Street Reconstruction Project.
Mayor, Council, Howdy Lisenby, City Manager. As part of our capital improvements program, we have a number of street improvement projects that are under discussion and under the design. And the city went through a selection process to determine qualifications and selected Frieza Nichols as the engineering team to do the design work for the street improvements within our capital improvements program. One of those streets that's being worked on is Washington Street. Since it's a full reconstruction rather than just a resurface, we've been talking about replacing the utilities that are underneath Washington Street so that that repair is done fully and completely and reduces the risk of causing breaks during the process of reconstruction. So when we started talking about adding the engineering design for the underground utilities, we had to make a decision whether we go ahead and have Frieza Nichols also do the utility work as well as the street work, or look at potentially having Hayter Engineering do the utility design. Part of that conversation centered on the fact that Hayter Engineering does pretty much all of the city's utility design for distribution and collection, and they've already designed a project to replace some of the utilities under Washington Street. And so we felt like that while Frieza Nichols is wholly qualified to do this work, they would be starting from scratch, whereas Hayter has already done a chunk of this design work and is in place. And so I had a conversation with Mike Tibbetts at Hayter and with Alan with Frieza Nichols to see if they would consider joining together and Hayter being a sub under Frieza Nichols for the utility work. And they were able to work that out and agree that they can work together on this. And so the amendment before you is an amendment to the Frieza Nichols contract to bring Hayter Engineering onto the team to take the design work they've already done and then finish out the rest of the utility work that is underneath the full length of the Washington scope. As we discussed in our last meeting, the amount of this amendment is $209,860. That is for the remaining design of the utility work and then also construction administration once we actually start doing the work. So the contract with Frieza Nichols for street design is $218,613. This amendment would add $209,860, bringing the total cost of this design contract to $428,473. Now, as we spoke last week, there was some concern about what the proposed cost of the utility work is now. We're looking at an estimated cost of $1.2 to $1.5 million worth of utility work, which is in addition to the money we already have budgeted to spend for the reconstruction of Washington Street. And so the plan right now, and we have designed this amendment as basic services and special services. Basic services is just the remaining of the design work and the bidding, and that portion is planned to be lump sum. And so for $82,850, they'll finish out, Hayter will finish out the design of the utility infrastructure under the full scope of the Washington project and assist us with the bidding of that work. That cost is set. We will pay $82,850 for that scope of work. Special services is once we award a contract, it's then the construction administration. And the plan right now is do the full design, get this to bid, and then once we see what the bid prices come in at, we may have to just do partials of the utility depending on where the cost comes in. And so the special services is a not to exceed amount, and it's billed on time and materials. So however much time they spend, they send us a bill, and if we use less than 127,000, then we won't pay that. If we use all of the 127, whenever we get to that point, we'll stop or we'll come back for an amendment, but we'll only pay for the services we use after that bidding process. I will say I've had great success with this approach with Frieza Nichols as a firm. When I was with the city of Abilene, we were doing a bond management program. I think we had $85 million in projects to deliver, and Frieza Nichols came in as a consulting team, and the contract value was, I think, $650,000 for their work. And it was kind of time and materials. And once we got those projects to a point where we felt like we could carry on and finish it without Frieza Nichols consultation, we stopped the work. And I think we ended up spending around $400,000. We didn't spend the full $650, and that's part of the value of structuring a contract like this is you pay for the work you need, and if the whole contract was lump sum, you pay that lump sum no matter what. And so I'm really thankful to Frieza Nichols and their work on how to structure this contract. It's work that is desperately needed. It is important. I think the timing caught us off guard, but it still needs to be done for Washington Street to be done correctly. So I say all of that to recommend that we award the amendment to this contract in the amount of $209,860. Alan is here with Frieza Nichols, and so if y'all have any questions, we're happy to field those questions for you today.
Any questions? Is there a motion?
Make a motion that we award the amendment to Frieza Nichols for the 209,860.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Thank you. Item 3, discussion and possible action on a resolution awarding a contract for the construction of the City of Commerce water filter treatment repair project to Heritage Constructors, Inc.
Mayor, before we move on, I want to thank Alan for driving all the way here for this meeting. It was time well spent, because you're potentially going to earn another $200,000 for the trip, so.
Good. Well, we appreciate you being here, and we're excited about progress.
Yeah. We're going to be finished quickly. I have some questions for you afterwards, and so just if you will hang out for just a little bit. All right, Mayor, item number 3 is the award of a construction contract for the water treatment plant filter rehab. I don't want to go over the full history, but as you'll recall, when I got here, one of the first projects we ever talked about as a council was the rehabilitation of our water treatment plant, and that was 1.5 years ago. Fast forward to this point, this is the award of a contract to begin the rehabilitation of our water treatment plant. For those that may be watching or listening later, our water treatment plant has 6 filters as part of the treatment process, and that gives our treatment plant a capacity of 3 million gallons a day of water production. The unfortunate reality is only one of those 6 filters currently works well. There's another one that can work partially, and we can use it if we need to. But all of our water right now is handled through one filter. This project will repair and rehab all 6 filters to restore full capacity to the water treatment plant. It does a couple of things. It restores our treatment capacity so that we can treat 3 million a day if we need to. Currently, demand only sits at about 1 million gallons a day, so very rarely do we have to treat over 1 million gallons. But should the need arise, like it did in the last couple of winters, we will have the ability to respond to the demands of our system. The second thing it does is it allows us to backwash, rotate, and take filters down for cleaning. All of our water is going through one filter. Now we're going to be able to rotate which filters are being used, gives us more reliability and more flexibility in the treatment process. And so we opened 2 bids on the 14th of April. One bid was a little over $2 million. and one bid was right at $1,500,000. And so we also had an alternate. The primary scope of the work is to rehab the interior and repaint the interior of the filters. The exterior of the filters doesn't really impact the performance, but we added some optional work to go ahead and clean up and repaint the exterior of the filters as well. The contractor added $50,000 to the job to do that exterior. We feel that's important. It protects from rust and also just improves the look of the filters. It won't really change the quality of the work the filters does. So we're recommending that we award the base bid plus that additive alternate, and that gets us to the price of $1,553,800. And then finally, I'm asking to add an additional $50,000 of owner's contingency, just so that if something comes up along the way, we've got the flexibility to respond. And so we're asking council to consider the award of a contract to Heritage Constructors for $1,603,800 to begin the work of restoring the capacity of our water treatment plant. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Is there a motion?
I move that we award the construction contract to Heritage Constructors, LLC, in the amount of $1,603,800, be awarded for construction of the water treatment plant filter repair project, and that the city manager be authorized to execute all necessary documents.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Item 4, first reading. Franchise to construct, maintain, and operate pipelines and equipment in the city of Commerce, Hunt County, Texas, for the transportation, delivery, sale, and distribution of gas in, out of, and through said city for all purposes, providing for the payment of a fee or charge for the use of public right-of-ways, and providing that such fee shall be in lieu of other fees and charges, excepting ad valorem taxes, and repealing all previous gas franchise ordinances.
Mayor and council, you may look at this item and feel a sense of deja vu that you've done this before recently, and you would be correct. We brought this franchise agreement to you, I think it was in December, was first reading? October, November timeframe. And so you've seen and passed this same ordinance on a first and second reading at the end of the last calendar year. And Atmos is the one that basically drafted the ordinance. And there is a clause within that ordinance that stated that if Atmos didn't execute this document, was it in 30 days or 60 days? Each document was different. But Atmos had some period of time to go ahead and finish executing this document, and if they didn't, the entire thing was null and void. And so a few weeks ago, Atmos reached out to us with a single-page document that they wanted staff to sign, basically saying, forget about that clause, we just want to execute it anyway. And so Molly and I talked it over at length. We got Charles, our attorney, on a call. We talked over at length and ultimately landed at it is our position that staff doesn't have the authority to make changes to ordinance documents that the council has adopted. And Atmos was asking us to effectively change an ordinance without going back to council, and we're not comfortable setting that precedent. And so we told Atmos, we're just going to go back to council and start over and do the franchise agreement again. It's the same agreement. Nothing has changed, except this time Atmos says they will execute it within 30 to 60 days as they're required to. So this is the first reading. Again, nothing has changed from the last time you saw it. We're just cleaning up, I would say, an unfortunate mess that Atmos made. We'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
The notes here say that, with the exception of moving from a 15-year agreement to a 20-year agreement.
That was in what we saw the first time around. Yeah. The first time we reviewed it, we approved that change. So that still is a difference from the previous franchise agreement.
Is there a motion?
Make a motion that we pass a franchise agreement with Atmos, on first reading.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 That motion carries. There being no other business, this meeting is adjourned.
Tony, I still think you have the record for the shortest meeting, don't you?
Yes, he does.
Yeah, this was
He does
15
have
minutes.
Yeah. His
I
is
have
five.
signed it all, dear.
Have you?
Yes, I have.
I'm so impressed.
I got a head start.
Look at